Good morning and welcome to the January 18th meeting of the Harwich Council on Aging. We do have a quorum here this morning. Member Justin White has informed us that he is working today as captain of the fire department, so he cannot be with us. He will be made abreast of all of the issues that occur at the meeting today a little bit later this afternoon. Our first order of business, if we can, is I will call for a motion to approve the minutes of the September 17th and November 16th, 2022 Council on Aging Board of Directors meeting.
So moved.
It has been moved and seconded. Second. Any changes, alterations to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It is a vote. I do not see anyone in the audience here for public comment today, so we will continue to move forward. Thank you for all being here. We are back to our third Wednesday of the month schedule. If everyone can make that, if not, if there are issues, we can most certainly talk about that. And just checking with everyone, how was everyone doing in the meantime?
Very good. Good.
All good?
Yep.
Okay. Great to see everyone here today. I'm going to turn things over. We have actually a bit of a packed agenda, so we'll get right to it. I'm going to turn things over to our director, Julie Wittes. Julie, there's some folks to introduce today?
Yes, so we're going to start by introducing Andrea Sidorik. Andrea, if you'd like to join us for just a moment, or are the cameras? I don't think the cameras
No, why don't you pop into the seat and then
pop
they can
over
say
here.
anything when you get introduced.
So Andrea is our new social services coordinator. She's been with us for several months now, but this is the first meeting that she's been able to attend. She has really hit the ground running, so she's well integrated into the team by now. And if you'd just like to say a few things about yourself, to say what your background is and how you've been enjoying the job.
Well, I have to say I've been here since September, but I volunteered starting in the summertime, which was just a wonderful thing for me to do and be introduced to the COA. And then in September, I was very honored to accept a position and actually take Julie's place, which I don't think I can really take, but it was just a really great thing for me. My background is a little more interesting than probably I don't know if you had seen it or heard it, but I actually was a teacher for 23 years and I retired in 21. And prior to that, for about 10 years, before I was a teacher, I was a dietitian down at Yale New Haven and St. Mary's Hospital in Waterbury, Connecticut, and New Haven, Connecticut. And they kept saying you should become a teacher. And I was teaching the residents and the nurses, but they kept sending me to schools and out to communities and churches. So I became a teacher at a time when teachers were retiring and there was a demand. In the interim of my teaching, which I loved, I was a science teacher. My parents became ill and my in-laws became ill, and so I realized I didn't know anything on how to care for my parents who were aging. And so I met some wonderful people, social workers, nurses, and I just sort of fell into this, but I needed to know more. So I took some classes online at UMass for a gerontology certificate, so UMass Boston. And someone said to me, well, you know what, you're enjoying this so much and you're smiling. Did you ever think about social work? And I said, I didn't think of social work, now I'm gonna do this. But then I became the contact person at Cheshire High School where I taught, and people would come to me with questions. Then I started volunteering at their senior center, which is in Cheshire, and I fell in love with it, and I just knew right away. My husband said, you love teaching, but you came home happier when you were working with the population. And so I began my journey about maybe 6 years ago, and I earned my MSW at Southern Connecticut State University. And we moved up to Harwich permanently in May. And like I said, I didn't expect, but it just happened. I am a Harwich resident, and here I am working, and I'm very honored to be here because it's like a dream come true. It's a job I come into every day thinking, how did I not know this before? So I want to thank all of you for that. And so that's my background. What I'm doing here is the outreach and working. Sue and I go out and make contacts, and we're working on SNAP and fuel assistance and other things. And I do think it's a really awesome team that Julie has put together, and you're going to meet one of my other colleagues that we're going to be working together. So again, I'm looking forward to the future. So thank you.
And I will tell you that Andrea has literally started immediately. I think it was her first day. She was already dealing with issues. Yeah. I had a senior client come in and was dealing with a lot of things, far greater than a realtor should be dealing with. And, having someone to refer to was wonderful. And Andrea really has hit the ground running and done a great job. So we're so glad to have her. Thank you. Any questions or?
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yes, welcome.
And anything we do, as you know, and I will say this to Nathan as well, what our board is, Julie is the director. She runs the operational council on aging. We are an advocacy group, and we do help at times with policy, but our job is to support the work that's being done here. So anytime, and you see actually a lot of these faces volunteering for the council on aging. I think every one of us has volunteered in one way or another over the years. So anything we can do for you at any time, please let us know.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Andrea.
And now we have another person to introduce.
We do. It's been a busy 6 months, so we are going to introduce Nathan now. He's our new program specialist too. He's been with us since the beginning of December. And he also has been busy since he's been hired and been finding his niche. So he's in charge of program coordination and volunteer coordination. This is a new position that we have created, so we haven't ever had this role before. So we've kind of taken little pieces of jobs, of tasks from other positions that we've had and created this role. So Nathan, if you want to tell us a little about yourself and what you've been doing and what you hope to do.
Yeah, well, like Julie said, it's a new position, so we're fleshing out like what the role is going to be over time, and both Andrea and I, it seems like we're sort of following the lead of Julie and picking up some of the things that she used to do along the way, and just strengthening that whole program system and offering the best activities for the senior community that we can, and also we've got some of the best volunteers consistently. We're grateful for all those things, and we're trying to just expand the I guess, I don't know, power is not the right word, but just the capabilities of what we can do here, and continue the warm environment. And I personally am very grateful to actually have met so many of the people. I had no idea how wonderful this community actually is, and they've filled me with a lot of gratitude. So I'm just grateful in general to have been given this opportunity and to dive headfirst. And any guidance that the board or Julie or Andrea wants to provide, I'm all ears.
Well, now, be careful what you wish for.
I'm not saying I'll accept. I'm just saying I'm all ears. I'll listen.
Because we have a few members who do participate in some of the programs here. Yeah. And I'll ask this with some trepidation of is there anything that anyone would like to discuss with Nathan, or questions or concerns they may have for Nathan?
Curious about what you've done in the past.
Well, most recently I was a contact tracer and case investigator during the pandemic for COVID for the Department of Public Health. I worked for a nonprofit that offered an extending arm to help them do that for Massachusetts. And it was one of the most challenging but also rewarding experiences in my life, because you didn't, not only did you work from home, but you spoke with people going through isolation and quarantine, and you had to offer them resources and help and a guiding hand. And I didn't have any background in therapy or just you kind of learn your bedside manners and how to you're cold calling people and introducing yourself and trying to offer your help, and you get a wide range of responses. And so from a human growing perspective, that was a tremendous experience, and also a major hurdle to go through as a person. And so that was and then prior to that, I was doing quality improvement. So for a federally qualified health center. So I was a quality improvement manager. And so coming here, I have an idea as to how to approach people, but also in the back of my head, I'm like, how can we get better? So That's what I think about on a day-to-day basis.
Anybody else?
Well, welcome aboard also.
Thank you.
And actually, what I neglected to do both for Nathan and for Andrea were to introduce the board in general. So if we could go around the table, please, starting with Carol.
Hi, I'm Carol Thayer. I'm a retired realtor,
Sorta.
currently working part-time, but I've been a active member of the community for many, many years. I've served on the finance committee, among other things. I'm serving now on this committee, and I'm also in charter review, extensive background, community service, public relations, marketing.
Angie?
I'm Angie Chilaka, and I'm a retired teacher, and born and raised here, and I'm on a lot of different committees and different things, and I like to be actively involved.
I'm Ralph Smith. I play a lot of pickleball. I'm a retired attorney and judge.
I'm John Bethel, and I'm a retired IT engineer. I'm also on the Friends board.
Nathan Hassel. I've just introduced myself, but I've got a graduate degree in public health, and I am the program specialist too at the Council on Aging.
Well, and we all know who Julie is, and you know who I, you've met me, both met me at this point. I'm better known around these circles as Kate's dad.
Yeah.
And proud to do so. All of us, and you look at this board here, the extent of knowledge, caring, and passion that is in this board is far greater than, frankly, any other board or committee in town. And they were all very humble introducing themselves, but their backgrounds are tremendous. And the one thing we all share is a passion for advocating for seniors, their families, and their caregivers. So thank you for both being here this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to work.
Well, stick around if you guys can, because I know some questions will come up in new business
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right.
that we will want to chat with. So do you mind if they stay?
No, not, of course. I
Thank
think
you.
they both wanted to stay and just see how things run.
Sure, thank you. We'll turn to you for overview of operations.
Okay, so since we didn't get a chance to meet in December, I just wanted to give, it's not the current operations, but give a little update on how our holiday gift drive went. We ultimately did distribute a total of 180 gifts. That included the cranberry bread, which we included some gift cards with. That was with the generous help of our friends group, who had donated a lot of gift cards to us, gift cards to Stop and Shop and Shaw's. So it was a total of 180 gifts that went out. People were obviously very grateful. We got a lot of thank yous and a lot of smiles on people's faces when they were delivered. So that was very successful.
Question about that, if I may. Did they know the gifts were coming?
They do not.
Yeah,
It
because
is-
I was amazed when I delivered some of these. They said, well, where's this from?
I had two seniors call me.
Yeah. And
Where did
were
they come
happy.
from? Did you? I said, no, it wasn't. I said, that was from the Council on Aging, and I did mention the Friends Council on Aging as
Yeah.
well.
But they were
Why?
delighted.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, why? I said, well, because you're part of our program and people love you and wanted to share something with them. Well, that was very nice. And I was okay. One actually showed me the gift that they had received, and they were very, very pleased.
We try to make it truly a secret Santa program, so they don't know what's coming. For almost everything that we distribute throughout the year, obviously we do call ahead and make sure that they're going to be home, and we plan the delivery time and everything. But the gifts are one thing that we try to make it a surprise.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
One of them was by the way, that you had delivered.
Oh, all right.
So sometimes it takes a couple of attempts to get to the house for a few people, but fewer than you'd think. Most people are home.
Well, if I can just take a moment to play to the judge's ego. He was described as a very tall, good-looking man. And I immediately said, well, that must have been Ralph Smith. So,
They left out the old part.
no editing.
So our January, February newsletter has been very successful. We've gotten a lot of people signing up for programs. We've included more programs in the January, February edition of the newsletter than we've included in months past for over the past couple of years. So we're really back up to the point where we were pre-COVID, and probably even maybe exceeding that level with the number of programs that we're able to offer. And we're trying to get a little bit more, I'm trying to be creative with the things that I'm offering. So We, next month, are having our first local author come to give a talk on her books that she's written, her writing process, you know, her inspiration for books, things like that. It's going to be the start of a new series that's been very popular. We've got plenty of space for that if people want to sign up to come to it. And in general, gotten very good feedback on that. Other things that have been going on, the Friends of the Council on Aging did submit a grant on our behalf to the Harwich Fund, and that was awarded. So this will fund a program in the spring that will raise awareness for dementia. So this will be a 4-part program. We'll bring neuropsychiatrists into the COA to give a talk to the public, basically discussing the signs of normal aging versus early cognitive decline and dementia. And then they'll discuss the things that you can do to prevent cognitive decline. So the follow-up sessions will be diving deeper into those things. So improved nutrition, improved exercise, and also a neuropsychiatrist will visit to talk about what you should do if you do witness those signs. So getting the care that you need, getting the neuropsychiatric exam, what that looks like, and going into depth with that. So that program will be fully funded by the Harwich Fund, and we're very grateful for that.
Terrific. That's great.
Board training?
Board, yes. There will be a board training coming up in the spring as well. In April, it's due for. That will actually be, so it's being held, presented by the MCOA, the Massachusetts Councils on Aging, and we'll be hosting it here at the Harwich Community Center. So obviously you'll all be invited to that once we have more information about it.
That's great.
I should have more details next month. We at the Harwich Council on Aging will be having our first high school intern, which we're very excited about for the spring. She's going to be working closely with Andrea. She's got an interest in social work and social services. So she's going to be working on projects leading programs and including some tech advice programming. So doing appointments with the public to help with like phones and tablets and things like that. So we thought, who better to teach the public about their phones than a teenager.
Just a quick question, and this is a program that's going on throughout the community, different mentorship programs that are being made available through the high school. Is the town requiring a waiver of liability?
I spoke to Megan about it, they are not actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
as long as the student is supervised by either a teacher or one of our staff at all times, so obviously she will be, then there's no waiver of liability required.
Okay. So I think it's a great program. I think a great program working with the high school. So.
Yeah. And to Ralph, I did speak to the health department about bringing the breakfast back.
You couldn't have.
And they gave their okay for that. It'll be a little smaller than it used to be, and things will operate a little bit differently. We're going to be serving breakfast individually rather than a buffet style. But Linda said she can handle that. We'll have some extra servers on hand to bring out the breakfast to folks who are seated very quickly. And we'll just have to have a cap and a wait list, a registration process to make sure that folks can get in. But we will be bringing that back starting in March.
As long as you have the bacon.
We'll have the bacon.
It's just bacon.
Will you need volunteers to assist Linda? Because we had a group of guys who would come in and set tables, et cetera.
Probably some extra volunteers would be helpful for that, yes.
What we'll do is we'll coordinate and with you and with Linda to see what she needs, and we'll see. We had a group of guys who would come in early and set the tables and put the tablecloths on and so forth.
Okay.
So we'll be able to assist. We're also going to be doing, I'm assuming, a women's breakfast as well.
Yes.
I was just
when
gonna ask the
yes.
same
Both breakfasts will be returning.
So we'll coordinate and
And the men's book club will also be returning.
oh my gosh, it's
Oh,
wonderful.
wow, you're on a roll.
It's funny. Twice this week. I shouldn't go to Shaw's. I really should. I should stay away from Shaw's. Walking into Shaw's, hey, when's the men's breakfast starting? Yeah, that was great. Next day, downtown, having coffee. Hey, and it wasn't Ralph. I mean,
Why the change in the format?
So the health department had some concerns about a buffet
Buffet.
style.
Okay,
And they said, honestly, even without COVID, there's some concerns about buffet style, but especially in the days of COVID.
okay.
someone sneezes, someone coughs, and
Yeah.
someone who has COVID could spread it very, very quickly.
Well,
Yeah.
this is true. I'm just, was just asking.
And a buffet style wasn't completely out of the question, if I'm being fully honest, but the way that it would have to be set up with the sneeze guard and with someone serving, so like people couldn't serve themselves, we'd have
Right.
to have someone serving. Linda felt that it would be more manageable to have her serve the plates and us to bring them out.
understand.
That it would actually be a faster setup to do it that way.
Okay,
So we'll have the support to be able to serve people that way, so we thought
Great.
that that would be
that's
doable.
super. Oh,
And
that's
if-
great.
I know I've worked with the men's breakfast for many, many years with it, as is Ralph. And if either of you or any one of the members want to work with the women's breakfast, I think it'd be good. They're going to need some additional volunteers to help. The breakfasts get very large,
Right,
and were they going to cap at 50 to start? Did you say?
50 to start.
Yeah.
Talk to Katie. She had said that. Okay.
that's reasonable.
Well, it may be for women's breakfast. For the men's,
For the men,
Be a
yeah.
problem.
For the
We're gonna
men, yeah.
and we want to be able to coordinate staff-wise because they get overwhelmed.
Sure.
When a program like Charlie Beatty's class, when that opens up, the phone just rings off the hook.
Right.
And it fills very, very quickly, and then there's a waiting list, and then people get upset, well, how come I'm on the waiting list? Da, 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 da. So we gotta be very careful when we announce either the women's or the men's breakfast and say it is capped at 50. We're gonna change the format just
Right.
slightly. You have to sign up. So the minute that they start signing
Sure.
up, the staff gets overwhelmed. Because
Yeah.
the phone just rings off the hook, not only
Sure.
the staff, but the volunteers who are on the
Right.
phone as well, so.
Yeah.
I understand.
I just wanna make sure we're not overwhelming staff.
Yes.
How we do it,
Gotcha.
And we're going to encourage contributions, I would assume.
absolutely.
Yeah, so there's no required contribution, but it'll be donation based like we did last time.
Ralph is very good at soliciting donations. You guys are getting a good idea of what Ralph is
Okay, so
Great.
that's all I have.
Thank you.
Is that all?
And
Okay.
that's all for operations.
Yeah,
I did have something else I wanted to bring up today. So I would like to go over some proposed presentation guidelines and an agreement that I would like to present to, presenters who'd like to come to the COA. So that we've got basically some ground rules and expectations that they can, so that they know what's expected of them when they come to present here. So if you want to just take a moment to look that over.
What I'm gonna do, under open meeting law, which has become more and more difficult, I'm gonna ask people if they can take it, we can discuss it today, but we're not gonna be able to vote on it today.
Okay,
We'll need to put it on for next month's meeting as a
Okay.
possible vote for it. And open meeting law requires that we need to give notice of anything we're doing, so if we're creating a policy, we need to give notice to the general public and to the town, and it's 48-hour notice that we're creating or changing a policy, and then, with notice, we can vote on a change or amendment to that. So, we'll take, we most certainly can discuss it today, but I would just hold for the final vote for
of
next
course,
month.
yep. So if you want to take a moment to look it over, and if there's any bullet points that you want to discuss, that you have questions about.
Having said that, I think it's a great idea. And the more policies that we've created over the years makes transition, as we've had, in this department in the last couple of years. The transition of Julie coming in as director, having policies already on file so that she can look at, either enforce or change or amend. And so as new staff comes in, they know the policies of both the board and the department much, much easier. So I think this is a great idea to have.
So it appears I could not get up and talk about how good ivermectin is
Correct,
Because it says it's an unsubstantiated medical practice.
correct.
Correct.
Okay.
And outside your area of expertise,
And
Your
outside,
Honor. We want to talk about the meaning of the role of the various parties in a legal proceeding. I'm sure that
Oh,
you
well,
could,
yes.
he would be well versed in presenting.
The one that I would like to point out for discussion, because I did parse it kind of finely, on the back page, the top bullet point. So I say no sales or distribution of promotional materials will be tolerated as part of a presentation. However, following an educational presentation, books may be made available for sale with permission of the COA director, but books should be available upon request only, not advertised or promoted. Do we feel that that's reasonable? I feel that people may want to buy a book following an educational presentation, so having them available is reasonable as long as the person is not pushing them.
It seems reasonable to me. My only question would be, you say, boy, what about pamphlets or
Right.
informational brochures? I think it needs to be broadened out a little bit.
So those tend to not be for sale.
Okay.
And I do address that a couple bullet points below. I say business cards, company or product service brochures may not be handed out to participants, but may be available on a table or in the literature rack.
I would just, and I got one of the things that I would look at amending would be no sales or distribution. I would say no sales.
Okay.
And I'll get rid
Yeah.
of distribution because I know when we've done housing forums in the past, we've invited, for instance, Mid-Cape Church Homes, which is an affordable senior housing in town. They would have information
Okay.
about an application to be
Right,
there.
right.
And those were things that people were asking for.
Okay.
And so I think we're going to be careful of, again, I would say no sales,
That's fair. Yep.
but other items, and I think that can be approved as well. I think we have to be very careful of what we're approving one versus another. And I agree, I think the business cards, company product brochures, and whether you will allow on a table or on a table outside. And the only reason I say that is when you have a speaker, and I'll use Ralph for an example. He's talking about the legal system, et cetera, and there are brochures that are available. A lot of times when someone is presenting, people are looking at the material, and what that does, it allows for additional discussion and questions that may come up. Okay, well, you say here, Judge Smith, that, da-da-da-da. It creates a discussion.
Sure.
So I think considering whether it's a table outside or the table that is in the room, as long as it's not sales, but it's something that's informational that might be available to people.
Okay.
I was thinking of something like the family pantry, we would like to
Correct.
hand out brochures.
Correct.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we've done that when we've had, for instance, and this goes back to some of our programs that we have here. I know Cal and I years ago did a housing program. We brought in a number of people, attorneys, the different organizations. So people had a lot of information. We had about 8 speakers, and each of them would bring a promotional material with them. But it allowed people to start thinking, okay, if I'm going to get into assisted living, I need to get an application, get on the list. Because in some cases, the waiting list to get on senior subsidized housing is up to 7 years. So you don't think about that right now, but 7 years from now. So those type of things we want to make sure we are providing. And when we've had our men's and women's breakfast, when we have a representative from, say, the family pantry, that have information that you're probably using anyway with your clients. So I just want to be careful of how we put it. I don't want to see any absolutes, and I want to be careful of just one person approving.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You want suggestions now, or?
Yeah.
It'd be good, because we can then bring it back and then vote on it
Sure.
next month.
Well, let's see. I like numbered lists. So
Okay.
I would first get rid of the bullets and always
And
use
number it.
numbers.
Okay.
Because then we can say we're talking about item number,
Great, John.
whatever.
Good point.
So
Okay.
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Item number 5. My feeling is the word appropriate should be changed to permitted, because it's a little bit more
Okay.
direct.
Okay.
And then on the back side, you have the same thing at the top one. It says tolerated. I would say permitted again.
Okay.
And then down the last one, instead of videotaping, recording. Because videotaping is a little bit more direct.
Okay.
And somebody would say, well, I'm using a
An audio.
audio device. So
Okay.
no recording of the presentation. Those are just a few things. So the first thing is numbered lists, so we always have to reference something.
Yeah, that's
know,
true.
And I want to go back to that last point, John, the videotaping or recording without prior approval of program specialist, COA director, or presenter.
Sure, there you go.
Or presenter.
Yeah,
And/or.
Oh, no, and,
And,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Because I don't want just the presenter giving the authorization
Right.
yeah,
Right.
to, you know, if it's uncomfortable. And many times the programs that we're doing, I'll go back to our newer folks here, they are done. And they're important programs that should be recorded to be here on Channel 18 after the fact. And that there, again, it's good to have a process with it. And even if you're doing an application for someone to do a programming, have it right on there. You know, will you allow it to be recorded?
Okay.
the only other thing I notice is you may want to kind of rank these, because it sort of look like maybe for an example, maybe the third one from the bottom should be moved up. Just kind of order of importance.
Okay.
If something is more, you know, possibly the last one might be one of the first ones, you know, things like that. So you might put a weighting to your thoughts.
Okay.
And on that videotaping, you might want to put something in there for remote participation. Because programs that might be done on a Zoom basis,
do we have that capability?
We do. Yeah.
so that if again, if there's got to be approval of all parties. It's great, great start. I
No,
think
I think,
it's
very good.
it's wonderful to have.
So get ready for a long meeting next meeting.
That won't be bad. You know, we've looked at it, but in the meantime,
It'll go quicker with numbered lists.
That's true. That's true.
good point, John. But what I would do is consider taking it home, looking at more detail, and if there are other questions you have or any concerns that, you know, you touch base with Julie.
In the interim?
Yeah.
In the interim, you mean?
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. And then, because we can discuss it, because Julie can say next month that, okay,
Yep.
John called and said, in addition to numbering, I'd like to have subsection A and B, or whatever it might be.
Sure.
That we can discuss as a whole.
All right. Thank you for
That's
your
great.
feedback.
Yes, that's good. Nice job.
That's great. And you guys know me, I'm huge on policy. The more policy we have that can assist the staff as staff changes, just the continuation of programs without interrupt is so
Exactly.
important. So, anything else?
Just a quick note on volunteer needs.
Yep, what do you got?
We can always use volunteer medical drivers.
Still, okay.
Still, I haven't had anyone new come on, so still in need of that. And we are looking for an interesting role to fill probably in April. Could use someone to come and sit in the lunch room once a week on Thursdays while we do a group in the office. So some caregivers may come to the group and bring their spouse to come to lunch, and the spouses may have early cognitive decline, so we want someone to sit with them. It's not exactly respite care, just another body in the room so that they can come, the volunteer can come get us if the staff needs to come assist.
Okay.
So a volunteer to come sit in the lunchroom.
Can you write something up so that we can get that out there too?
Sure.
That would be great.
Okay.
Because Ralph loves putting stuff on his social media.
Okay. All right, I can do that.
I know, he's such an expert at
He
that.
really is. I think he should be doing a program on it myself.
All right, and that's it.
Okay. Any old business to come before us today? And you've already taken care of the new business with,
What's the status of the van that was hit?
right?
It has not come back from DPW yet, but they did say that the damage was minor. The lift, most importantly, the lift was not damaged. It's still working properly. So they're just working on the bumper.
I should have preceded that. How about the driver? How is Jerry doing?
Jerry's doing well, relatively well. It will be several weeks before he's able to return. Yeah.
Julie, yeah, could you inform some of the members who are not aware that there was an accident with the
Oh, sure.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, so the van was rear-ended. It was parked. A passenger was onboarding via the ramp. Fortunately, he was fully strapped on, and the ramp was on the ground, so it was not in the air. And at that time, the van was rear-ended.
Oh, dear.
And
So
one of the
Jerry,
employees,
yeah, Jerry was
broke his-
thrown. He broke his foot.
right,
Oh, dear.
The passenger was not injured seriously. He had just a little bit of pain afterwards, but no, he was fully checked out. No, nothing that they could find.
Okay.
So just some, aches and
Right,
pains,
right.
basically.
Yeah, should have go.
Yeah. So it'll be several weeks before Jerry can return. He can't
Okay.
put pressure on the foot,
Right.
basically.
but going back to the discussion of policy, every person who uses that lift is strapped in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's why certain policies are so important to
Oh,
what
yeah,
we're doing.
absolutely.
Because liability could be tremendous for the town as well.
Sure.
But it was, and Jerry is such an integral part of our
Yeah.
transportation program
Sure.
here. And in the meantime, we're using the larger van.
So we are using the larger van. And timing wise, not ideal. I also had one of our other part-time drivers give their notice. She's already left now.
Yeah.
So she was a 1-day-a-week driver. So we're now left, right now, the only person who can work is Kurt. He typically works 1 day a week, but very fortunately, he's able to give us usually 3 days a week.
Wow.
So about 19 hours.
Yeah.
So we're still looking for another,
We're still, yes, the job is posted.
Okay.
We're looking for a part-time van driver. So if anyone would like to apply. Very eagerly taking applications. And just waiting for Jerry to be well enough to return.
Okay, what is the pay rate for that?
It starts about, right at about $20 an hour.
Okay.
so keep in mind for your social media post if
Yeah.
someone's looking for something.
Sure.
Okay. And
And what requirements
Yeah.
are in place for, what do we need to have?
So there's actually not a special license that's required to drive the van. But because we lease it through the CCRTA, they do require that the driver go through many special trainings that are only offered through the RTA,
Okay.
or through MassDOT, actually, I
Right.
should say. So that if the person has not driven for the Massachusetts Department of Transportation or a local transportation agency, like another council on aging, for example, it can take a long time for them to get onboarded because we have to wait for these trainings to come up.
I
They're
see.
not always available. They're scheduled routinely. So I looked at the schedule for the next couple of months. Like if we were to hire somebody who had not completed these trainings, it would probably be March before they could actually start driving.
I see.
but actually it's a good time to get out there for people so we can
Right.
get them ready for
Well,
March.
that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing.
Okay.
Ralph?
Just an observation about the van. I was in Shaw's about a week or so ago, and the van was sitting well down in the parking lot, running when I went in and running when I came out. And there's a idling statute that says no more than 5 minutes, I think.
Okay,
And it wasn't particularly cold.
okay.
So I don't know if it was for the convenience of the driver or making sure it was warm when the passengers came back, but
Okay.
it seemed
There-
wasteful to me
Yeah.
to let this thing sit there and run, so.
There is an idling statute, so I
Yeah.
can bring that up.
Again, it's, we want to be careful because we do want it comfortable for
Right,
our seniors when they
Yeah.
come back on. You don't want it cold. And I know our weather's been iffy, but I think a discussion would be good. Just a reminder
Yeah.
of the staff. But at the same time, I want it started 5 minutes before the seniors are coming out.
sure, that's fine. But this was for
Yeah.
20 minutes, so.
Gotcha.
Way down on the lot, not
Okay.
at the parking area.
Anything else, new business before us today? Okay, John, any other final comments?
No?
Ralph?
Nothing, thank you.
Angie?
No, and welcome aboard.
Actually, I do have one thing.
Sure.
As, the utility bills this winter are just have huge problem for many, many people, seniors as well as everybody else. I work at Shaw's, and one of the things we do is pay utility bills. People come in with their utility bills and we pay them. They're outrageous. And people are more and more questioning about solar. And what is solar energy? Where do I go? How do I find out about solar energy? I think maybe consideration of a program on solar energy,
Very timely.
you know,
So we actually have something coming up in March.
how about that?
Yeah, I believe it's the Citizens Energy, gonna get it wrong if I try to say it, but there's a committee in Harwich that
Okay.
approached me to run a 4-series event to educate the community about energy.
Fabulous.
Yeah, so they're gonna talk, the first session will be on energy in general. The second session, there'll be a guest speaker from Mass Save or Cape Light Compact.
Okay.
To talk about how to make your home more energy efficient. There'll be another guest speaker, the third session. I'm having trouble remembering who it will be. I can bring more details next to
Right,
the
that
next
would be
meeting if
great.
you want.
Yeah, I'd
And
like-
the last session, the state Senator Julian Sear is actually coming.
Okay.
So there'll be a pretty comprehensive 4-week
Well, I
presentation.
think that's wonderful, because I had so many seniors, coming through the store,
Yeah,
have no idea, where to start to get information. I mean, yes, there's companies, God forbid, that you go on the internet and put down that you like more information, because the first thing they want is your phone.
right.
And then, of course, you're inundated with 90 phone calls, so you don't proceed on with it, including myself.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't want 50 million phone calls from 50 different
Correct.
salesmen.
Correct.
I just want information, and it's impossible to get
Yeah. So
without giving
I'll
out
bring-
phone number.
I'll bring some
So,
details next week, next month.
Yeah,
And,
I'm glad to hear something like that's happening, because so many people have questions about it.
It's a great segue into my comments,
Yes.
which is in our newsletter, for the February newsletter, it talks about programs that are available from the town of Harwich
Uh-huh.
for seniors.
Yes.
And it talks about the senior exemption for anyone 65 years of older, and that's a $1,500 exemption for people. And it's based on income and assets. And really, really, really important for people to know, their home is not their asset. So it's assets outside of their home.
I see.
So people who are having difficulty.
Yes.
We also have, and we promote, a senior work-off program. Those can be combined as well.
Yes.
And so that seniors can qualify for up to $3,000 off as a tax credit.
Yeah.
There are other programs, we have veterans, we have blind exemptions, we have a great program for people, and it's a great opportunity for you to refer back into Andrea or Nathan or even Julie, that we have a deferral program
Yes.
so that seniors do not have to pay taxes. There are criteria that they would have to fulfill, and I think that's a great program.
Yes.
As our taxes continue to go up, that if you can defer $3,000 or $4,000 taxes, there is basically a lien put against the house, but it's at a simple interest rate. It's not compounded.
Okay.
And if people are gonna live another 10 years in their home, a $30,000 or $40,000 lien against a $600,000, $700,000, $800,000
Right,
home.
exactly.
That $3,000 or $4,000 a year in taxes that they're paying could make a big difference in their lives.
Yeah.
So for any of those who may be watching this today or anytime, please look at our newsletter, and if you don't get our newsletter, to call the Council on Aging to get a copy, because it breaks down all of the various programs that are available in the community for seniors who are experiencing some
That's
financial
very
hardship.
valuable.
But that was a great timing on your part.
Oh, good, thank you.
One question. I think these programs are wonderful, and I did read it in the pamphlet, but I'm saying, are we really reaching out to all of the people in our community? Because not everybody gets the bulletin.
Right.
And sometimes our more needy people are less likely to get the bulletin, or,
That's true.
so how are we being sure we are reaching out?
When people get their tax bills, there is information there as well. We also, the assessors will be doing a TV program, but again, we've got people who may not see or
Right.
get Channel 18.
Right.
We have been before the Board of Selectmen
Yeah.
to help publicize. Again, that's publicized, it's in the paper. We do outreach from the board. I know that the Council on Aging does outreach, and when the folks here are talking with someone, they're aware of these programs. But we're open to any suggestion for other ways for outreach and advocacy. We have, the town of Harwich has a budget. It's called an overlay account. And these credits come out of that account, and it's a substantial account. And it's an account, frankly, your Board of Assessors would love to see it zero every year. We'd love to give out as much of that as we can to those in need. So any suggestions you have or the public has for getting this information out to people would be welcomed by the board.
I agree.
Thank you. Any?
Another thing is to our newsletter, the wider distribution we can do with the newsletter, the better, really.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of information, and it's not really, I know a lot of people that are not getting, not a lot of people. I've had people tell me, hey, that's pretty interesting. I hand them out at volleyball and so on.
Yeah.
But anybody that has a group that they can hand these out to or make available to certainly would be
We'll
useful.
attend the next selectmen's meeting as well. We'll bring some additional ones with
Yeah.
us there and get it out to the media. Because there are some people who may read the local media
right.
to say, oh, this is available.
Yeah.
And the newsletters are widespread throughout the community. And if someone does call, we'll see that they get a copy if necessary.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
The other question I had was the tax aid program. How is that going?
Going well. Nathan, you want to comment on it?
Yeah, we've scheduled all of February. We're now in the first week of March. And it's, they prepared me for a nightmare, but people have actually been quite pleasant and responsive. So what worked in the past seems to have fallen on, a lot of the people who've signed up have already been through the programs for several years and know what the expectations are. And so there's been, knock on my wrist, no hiccups so far, but the scheduling is just, it's rolling along. And I think we'll go through March, and then I guess in April, we're gonna reserve that for certain special requests, I assume. But yeah, the scheduling's going fine.
Good.
all right, if there's nothing else to come before us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion so moved.
It's been moved, it's seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? May clean up the table. Thanks for being with us. Thanks so much and welcome to the team. Glad to have you both with us. Julie, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to be able to tap.